Oh, brother, I never thought this day would come. I never thought I would ever have to rant on a user that I respect very well. But today is the day. I will be ranting on Eddy the Scammer. For anyone not aware of Eddy the Scammer, he's a YouTube user that made crappy rant videos and is known for being extremely condescending. I gotta give Eddy the Scammer one thing. If it weren't for his animations, I wouldn't have been inspired to make hit cartoons like Detective Eddy, Deputy Jack, Chief Raymond, and my favorite cartoon ever made called The Unsolved Mysteries of Rashutsu. I'll leave links in the description for those that want to see the cartoons. I'll be using Ed the Workhorse as an avatar. Eddy the Scammer started YouTube as The Coffee Lover 239 back on July 2nd, 2012, and made some pretty weird videos. His first 3 videos were about a live-action style Ed and Eddy movie. Eddy started a rant series inspired by Ben the Looney called Eddy Rants. That was the first time he used Eddy from Ed and Eddy as an avatar. First rant was on Sammy Classic Sonic Fan. Now I had a pretty big problem with the video already. First problem, Sammy was a troll that modeled himself after Mario to Plumber, who was also a troll. Second, Sammy was a dead topic at the time of the video. Third, Eddy was recording audio with the video, making the introduction sound very weak. Fourth, what are the names of the songs in the intro and outro of your rants? You cannot expect people to know the song. Unless you uploaded an entire video with the song and revealed the name, the explanation is in order as to why you didn't cite those songs. Eddy's second rant was obviously a dead topic in the ranting community regarding the Disney Channel. People have ranted on Disney for so long that people are sick of hearing it. The biggest problem with Eddy the Scammer as a ranter was that most of his rants were related to trolls, and then a few of his rants were related to dead topics. Eddy, in the ranting community, the most common thing a ranter has to do is try and be original with rants. Let's take my rants on YouTube's multiple networks and government service as examples. YouTube's multiple networks were charging money for people to see popular videos without ads. That was YouTube Red. Then in YouTube Gaming, if a user had a big fan base, you would have to pay money to see those users. In YouTube Music, same thing. Government service was about the government's failure to regulate service, and it gave people the leverage to take advantage of entitlement programs. Eddy, if you are going to return to the ranting community, make sure the topics are hot issues. Avoid the trolls, and if a topic has been discussed to death, avoid those topics too. There are so many relevant things to rant on, it's that easy. For example, I just did a rant on the education system because of the massive stress based on curriculum, and how kids are getting hurt carrying books. Those are examples of relevance because these issues are huge. I will admit that your rants on the McDonald's Happy Meal and Instagram were spot on. We all know what McDonald's is. But Instagram is a social media site that blatantly rips off Facebook, and I hate Facebook with a passion as well. During the year 2014, Eddy the Scammer entered the commentary community by commentating on Guri Girl OX. While Eddy did bring up a couple of legitimate points, there were major problems with the video. First, Eddy was coming off as a biased Nintendo fanboy throughout the 2 commentaries he made. Second, Guri Girl OX was trolling! He didn't care if anyone respects Nintendo, he has his opinions! Third, Guri Girl OX did bring up legitimate complaints regarding Nintendo, the Mario fanbase, and why Sonic the Hedgehog was more complex. The only problem I have with the Sonic fanbase are the people that want to engage in sexual activity with Sonic characters. That's wrong! For the classic Sonic games, I love them. For the modern Sonic games, I'm indifferent since I never played them. Eddy, if you put aside your bias for Nintendo and paid attention to the key points Guri Girl OX made with the comparisons of Sonic and Mario, you would have never needed to make that commentary. You should have commentated on something that was actually relevant. If it wasn't bad enough, you ranted on Guri Girl OX. Not only that, but you openly said that Guri Girl OX was trolling, yet you gave him attention. That was what made you a target for David Was Here. In the words of Sean Sampson, do you even have a brain? The only thing funny that I find in all of this is that you made Guri Girl OX the main villain of Conswag and Eddy. Oh, I missed that show. The most infamous rant Eddy the Scammer did was his rant on the commentary community. Why? Number 1, he complained about how boring commentaries were and how you can't get rid of them. If you think commentaries are boring, then why did you step foot in the commentary community? If you think commentaries were boring, you should have X'd out of the browser and there you go. No one would have cared to criticize you. Number 2, he complained about certain comments on his videos. This is when Eddy should have just edited out that complaint because it brought nothing of substance. My biggest problem with that rant was dedicating a complaint to the fans of Rhino Mills. Listen, I did rant on Rhino, but I kept the focus on him. What a waste. The nostalgia subject was completely irrelevant and co-op commentaries was a trivial issue. The one subject I do agree with Eddy on was the bandwagon effect. However, Eddy made an out-of-contextual complaint about bandwagons. The reason why commentators like Youngblood Fantasy 91 and TOG Professor complained about the commentary community was because of the overkill of multiple degree commentaries and bandwagons. I agree that people need to stop bandwagoning a video in question because not everyone will bring different subjects to the table. Bandwagoning is not an excuse to get views on commentaries. Bandwagon is usually poor timing because people are not aware of the fact that an earlier commentary existed. As a result of the backlash for the rant, Eddy the Scammer quit ranting regularly. Also, Gurigolo X made his first legitimate commentary in years. Eddy's claim to fame was his cartoon based on Nintendo characters and other multiple characters called Con Swag and Eddy. The big complaints of the series was that the popular commentators were the villains, while Mr. Conman, Coolio Swag, and Eddy the Scammer were the protagonists. Conman is known for YouTube poops, Coolio is known for Let's Plays, and Eddy is known for animating. What did these three users have in common? They were mediocre users prior to the cartoon. The big controversy with Conswag and Eddy was Eddy the Scammer's violent tendencies. For example, in the pilot episode, Eddy killed Dark Agumon with a bomb. The second episode, Eddy burned Gurigolo X with Mr. Conman's cigarette. Tell me that Eddy isn't a pissed off kid in real life. While Eddy was gaining momentum with Conswag and Eddy, an incident occurred in 2015 when a new group channel called Confederacy of Independent Commentators started. It's called Order of the Dim-Witted Dubs today. This all started when I made a comment about Youngblood, which I will admit was a stupid comment. After Youngblood went on a huge tirade about it, Eddy the Scammer responded and griped at Youngblood for being biased. Then Eddy made his worst mistake ever. He ranted on Youngblood. I warned Eddy that if he ranted on Youngblood, he would lose everything he worked hard for over a dissenting opinion. And what was worse was that Eddy put the video on unlisted. That's a very cowardly move there, Eddy. If you really cared about your audience, you should have aired that video to the public so people could get the full video raw. Do you also realize that Youngblood is an egotistical pseudo-intellectual Yankee that don't care about being called out for bias? That was why I never responded to Youngblood when he went on that tirade, because that would have added fuel to the fire. Even though I really hate Youngblood, I would not rant on him even if it was a joke video. There's nothing funny about the situation, Eddy. I hope you learned from that experience because making emotionally charged videos over a comment is not worth it. Since then, Eddy the Scammer's credibility has gone way downhill. Eddy, if you want to regain momentum again, you actually need to research the subject in question, show evidence as to why you have a problem with the subject, and elaborate the situation. You can't base rants on just word of mouth. Do I think you can make a comeback in the ranting community? Yeah. But you actually got to be motivated. You can make rants and present evidence, but you also need to emote when you rant. Also, don't be full of crap. Anyway, this is Bourg Productions with a rant on Eddy the Scammer. Thank you and good day.